Hello Tech Pros, episode 152.
Learn to ask good questions of the service providers you're hiring.
Welcome to the podcast where I chat with professionals who are getting the job done using technology 7 days a week. Each week we start with Motivation Monday. Tuesday is about productivity, Wednesday, leadership, Thursday, technology, Friday, people and communication, Saturday, entrepreneurship, and Sunday, being unplugged. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Monica Neubauer. Happy Friday, Monica.
Hey, Chad. Happy Friday. I'm glad to be here with you.
Awesome. Are you ready for the weekend?
I am ready for the weekend. I'm always ready for the weekend. Well, but in real estate, the weekend is not exactly the same as for people who aren't in real estate.
Ready for the weekend could be you're ready to have your most productive weekend ever.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Monica Neubauer is a successful realtor in Franklin, Tennessee, and has been a national speaker in the industry since 2009. As an education junkie, she enjoys talking about many aspects of real estate and business. As the 2015 Realtor of the Year for her local association, she is active at home, but also enjoys traveling to the 50 states and any country that will let her in, which leads me to ask, Monica, which country has not let you in yet?
Well, I actually haven't tried to get into one that hasn't let me in, but when I used to spend more time in Asia, Burma was always of interest, and at that time you couldn't get in, even though things politically have changed over there now.
Interesting. So what were you doing over in Asia? This sounds like a very interesting story.
Well, when we were young, after I first got married, my husband and I decided we wanted to go live in China, and we thought we were going to stay there and make a business there. But it ended up, we lived there for 4 years, and so we learned to speak Chinese and just had an amazing experience living outside of our culture in another culture and getting to know them, the people, the way they live, the different ways they view things. It was a great experience, but we ended up coming back and raised my kids here in Tennessee.
That's awesome. Wow, so inspirational. I would love to spend a little bit more time outside of the country. Not that I don't like this country. I love this country, but I would like to expand my just my culture a little bit, just get out and really experience the world from other people's point of view. And when you're gone on a weekend vacation, that doesn't count. And when you're even gone for an extended vacation, say 2 or 3 weeks, it's still like you're living like a tourist and not living like a local. And so I would love the opportunity to just to get to know places like as the locals know it. I think that would just be extremely interesting.
Well, I encourage you to pick the country you would like to go to. Find an Airbnb where you can live for a month and eat at the local restaurants and shop and hang out and get to know some of them. It truly is a tremendous experience. You learn so much, and it just helps open your eyes to how different people are. And we know that here, but when you go to another country, honestly, when I was living in China, and I was young at the time, so understanding cultures was still something I was learning, but I was like, these people think so different from me. I can't even begin to understand how they were trained to think that way. So it's really a great experience just to, if you go with an open mind and an open heart, just to learn and listen and be in a space of kindness, and you'll be amazed how cool it is.
Well, that is so cool. Such cool words of wisdom, man. We could have used that for the very end of this episode, but I know you got even better ones reserved for the end. As you know, Monica, this is People Friday on Hello Tech Pros. And speaking of culture and speaking of people, we believe it's not what you know, it's who you know. And, throughout the week, we talk about technology. We talk about all these motivational stories and how we built our empires and how we're working on technology and we're using technology to get things done in the world and so forth. And then tomorrow's Entrepreneurship Saturday, where we're going to have a guest talk about how they use technology in their business. But I was really, really interested in talking to you today about, in the real estate industry specifically, there's a lot of technology that have come up in the last 15 or 20 years, right? Just from the fact that, gosh, I can't remember what year it was, but I remember when MapQuest came out, and it was right around the time I was looking for my first house. And that was like blew me away that I could actually use a map on a computer, because I'm a computer guy, to like search out and just at least look at the addresses, pin these addresses up on my map, and then I could drive to them and check them out without, I'm going to get in trouble here, but without using a realtor, right? And now
Right.
there are so, well, it was because I was really intimidated amongst other people, to be honest with you, right? I've always been this completely shy, introverted kid that was very, very uncomfortable working with other people outside of like a close group of friends or close group of colleagues that I've been working with forever. And so as a, 21, 22-year-old, when I was first starting to look for, a new place to rent outside of, me and my roommate and stuff like this, it was, I don't know, just anytime I had to deal with car salesmen or realtors or anyone in some kind of profession like that, I got really, really nervous inside. And it's something that I've grown past, right? But I love the availability of technology, because I could just do some of the legwork myself. But I wanted to talk to you today because you're an expert who has seen both sides of it, right? People trying to DIY it themselves, like I tried to do in the past, and people who use realtors as the industry expert to get things done. And maybe you could talk us through some of the pros and cons of why, what are some of the benefits of the technology we have today, but then why we should use a realtor.
Great. Well, I'll give you a little bit, just a brief introduction to some of the technology and what people are doing. And actually, to be honest, before I got in real estate, I sold my first house by myself. And it was complicated. And honestly, I think I probably could have sold it for the price, putting in the additional money to have paid the agent and sold it for that price and not have done the work myself. So, and that's not an uncommon story, is sometimes people can get more money even with the realtor. Anyway, so that's one of the pros. But the technology thing, there is so much technology. People love Zillow. They love all the information they can get on Zillow. They love having access to the tax records, and maybe they have local sites that they're looking for with their local agents. A lot of people use Redfin. It's a good app. And so the public is really looking at houses a lot through these sites. And it's really great to have the public involved, and they're educating themselves and they're watching HGTV. And so all of that education is good. There is a place, though, where it kind of clashes with reality, because we all know that reality TV is, it's the full truth, the complete picture all the time, right?
Maybe not.
Yeah. So those are kind of good places to get some information. But the data from Zillow will tell you how off their data is. If you dig in a little bit, they've got articles and videos, and they'll tell you how off it is. And we know HGTV, most people do not look at 3 houses and buy one. And it's
Right.
usually a little more complicated than that. So those are fun places to get some education and learn, because people do learn some good stuff. They learn how to ask good questions. They learn how to get their house ready for sale. So there's some good stuff there, but when it actually comes down to the process of buying a house is much more complicated than TV and Zillow and even like forsalebyowner.com. Those places, they offer a service, but it's really a complicated process. So let me tell you some of the pros to working with a real estate agent. They are in the local market every day. And real estate is local. So my market, even my town where I live in Franklin, Tennessee, is a different market than Nashville or Smyrna or, the near towns that are a half an hour, 45 minutes away. So all real estate is very localized. And so when you actually need to know what's happening in the market, what changes are happening in a school district, what's happening with the roads or construction or commercial zoning, things that are happening in a community that could affect you as a homeowner and could affect your value as a house, that is information that a well-trained full-time agent is going to know. And that I use those 2 words on purpose. I want to encourage your listeners to really interview the real estate agents that they're thinking about using, because you want to get one who is well trained in the industry, who's really involved, who's learning what's going on. There's so many changes. Here's another pro. There's so many changes going on just in the national place of financing and getting your loans and regulations. There's a new regulatory bureau in Washington, and we've been trained about that. And I want to encourage your listeners to get an agent who's getting the education they need to be up on the new regulations. They're involved in their community, so they know what's happening. And those are questions they can ask their agent when they're interviewing them. How informed are they? What can you help me outside of just the house search?
Interesting. Yeah. So it sounds like we're really trying to find someone, in this case, going back to This Is People Friday, trying to find someone who's there on our side and not just like has the data in front of them, right? Because as you said, sometimes we can find the data themselves, but really is like a member of the community, knows the community inside and out, and is going to just have, maybe what we're asking or what we care about is not in the data, it's not in the statistics, but it's really about, oh, did you know that so-and-so is running for city council and her position is to redo the roads. And so if she gets elected, then yes, there will be construction here outside of your house for 2 years, but then after that, it's going to increase the property value. It's like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. I had no idea that was going on. So really trying to establish a relationship with someone who knows more than just the facts, more than just the data.
Right. And wouldn't you, as a buyer or seller, want to have an agent who kind of knows that stuff that's going on? Do you think that'd be helpful?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So a few other things that are important in working with a real estate agent that you can't get off of the technology is that agents can help you understand the upgrades that are in a house. If you're looking at an old house and you're just looking, say you've got a neighborhood and it's built in the 1970s, and great, they've got big lots, they're ranches, lots of character there, you like that style. But houses in the 1970s are now, 40 odd years old. So we probably want them to be upgraded a little bit, and a realtor can help you kind of look through the upgrades and say, yeah, these are more recent, these are excellent, these are expensive upgrades, these are, minimal upgrades. So they can help you discern what's going on individually with the upgrades in a house. And again, with Zillow and some of those others, just looking at the raw data, square footage, they're not able to tell all the upgrades that are in the house. And whereas a realtor who, if they're not trained in construction, should not be commenting too much on the quality of the construction, sometimes we have some experience and we can kind of give some guidance as, well, we might want the inspector to check on that because it's a little, looks like it might have been done less than professionally. Things like that. We can just we make the buyers aware of those kinds of things. So that's one thing, eyes on. The process is pretty stressful, actually. And a real estate agent can oftentimes they're bringing the full paperwork, everything you need to do the contract. And that's something that we have benefits through our associations. We have contracts because we're not lawyers. We can't write, the full contract, but we have the paperwork that's designed with a buyer and seller in mind. We bring that paper, we can present that to them, help them understand the contract and the paperwork, the process of inspections and appraisals, and are they getting a loan? We can recommend good local lenders. So all of these things, the education process, educating the buyer or the seller on the process is a huge value that realtors bring to the table.
I think that's, Monica, that for me personally, that's so understated a lot of times because, you going back to your point earlier, you watch HGTV, right? You see other people buy houses. You kind of maybe been through the process before, but in a different location and in a different state. And you think, okay, yeah, I got this. It's no big deal. But having someone be there to walk you through that process and exactly what this legalese means is absolutely critical, right? Because if you make an assumption on one point and think, oh, this is taken care of because back in Oklahoma where I lived, it was this way, but now I'm moving to Tennessee and Monica's here and she goes, well, hold on. This is what what you're talking about in Oklahoma is completely different here in Tennessee. There's different laws, there's just different regulations, different interpretation of what this is written. So let's be very, very clear so that you don't get yourself in a position of having either buyer's remorse or seller's remorse or some other problem.
No, you're absolutely right. The laws are different, and very much in real estate, the laws are state driven. So they're very different. The process, the way the closing goes, and all of those things, very state specific. So real estate is local. Kind of back to that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. Some other things that having a real person help you sell the house is as I mentioned, it's a stressful process. And when real estate agents get together and we talk about it, sometimes we joke a little bit that being a realtor for our clients is a little bit like being a parent. Not that our clients are children, but that there's so much to do in managing the process emotionally and technically. You know how with your kids, you're trying to help them understand and you're trying to teach them and you're trying to take care of some things. And in some ways, working with a client who's in a very stressful situation, we want to help them manage their stress. We want to make it as not stressful as possible, so it is smooth, but there is kind of that emotional aspect as well, is helping them. And you've bought a house. I mean, honestly, so I sold a house of mine a couple years ago, and when they came back with the list of the repairs that they wanted, it really wasn't a big list, and I could just still feel my back getting up. Oh, why are they asking that? This house is in good shape. And even myself, how many contracts have I negotiated? And the list wasn't important, and my husband is handy, so it really was no big deal, and I could still feel myself having tension rise. So if I'm having that, I sure know that my sellers and buyers are feeling that tension and that stress, and so I want to help them manage that stress and help them be informed about the process so that, okay, we can plan for the moving truck. Okay, we can do these repair items are not a big deal. Okay, my realtor is going to give me some vendors. I can get a handyman. I can get a plumber. Okay, it's just someone to think through and talk through things with that can help reduce the stress level. And that's a huge thing.
Well, it just makes sense that it's such an emotional process if you think about it from both sides. First, from the buyer's perspective, I mean, for most normal, working class people, buying a home, purchasing a home is going to be the single biggest transaction that you're ever going to make out of your personal life, right? You may be a manager at a bank or a salesperson at a big corporation and do big, huge transactions on behalf of that corporation, but purchasing however much the house costs, regardless of what the cost is, it's probably going to be the biggest transaction that you ever make. And then as a seller, if you lived in this house, especially if you lived in this house, had memories here, raised kids here, it is a piece of your life. It is a piece of you, and all of the things that you thought were so special about it, now on the open market, people are like, you need to replace that. You need to replace that driveway. That driveway that's got my kid's handprint in it. You need to repaint the walls. No, that's like the perfect color paint for all of whatever. All of the stuff that made it special to you.
Yeah, my sister-in-law, she did that mural on the wall. I don't want to paint over that. And yeah. What you're saying is so true. People do get so attached to their homes, and my suggestion there is, when it's time to sell it, you need to start unplugging from those things. You just have to start making it vanilla. And, you're so right. So, I mean, that's the thing that, again, we have to do is help people say, I know it's your house and I know it's been special to you, but to somebody else, they're going to want to see it that way. So my word of advice to your listeners there is, when your real estate agent says you need to paint it and, you need to let the mural go, and when you need to take half of your stuff out of your house, you just need to because making these small changes of painting your house and removing the stuff out of your house, that's going to net the seller more money.
Right.
And isn't that what they really want anyway, is more money, right? I mean, ideally.
Right. Well, there's the logical side of I'm moving out of this house because I either want to upgrade or I want to downgrade or I want to move across the country or move around the world to China and learn a new language and meet a new culture or whatever the thing is. But I want to do that But on the same time, like, this house is my baby and I want to protect my baby. But no, if you're getting rid of it, now it's somebody else's baby and you got to help them achieve their dreams. And if their dreams is to have freaking purple on the walls, then maybe you don't want to repaint the house purple, but at least get it down to neutral where they can put purple on the walls.
Right. You're saying the exact right stuff. You want to help make the space where the buyers can see themselves in it. One kind of interesting example I have for that with sellers, when somebody wants to go sell their car, they take so much time and they're careful and they detail the car and they clean it on the inside, they clean it on the outside. They know that if they make it just sparkling new, like new as possible, they're going to get more money for it. But with their house, because of what you said, they're so attached to it, they don't necessarily think of it in the same way like detailing the car. So I think that's kind of a good analogy, is you need to detail your house for sale like you would your car and make it neutral and ready to go. So that's one way.
That's a really good suggestion. I like that. I've never heard that suggestion or that relationship before, because everybody, car salesmanship 101, right? Is the cleaner the car, the better it looks, the better it's going to sell, the more value you're going to get out of it. And so why not treat your home or property the same way? And you're just trying to clean it up, declutter it, clean it up, just try to get it back to as looking as brand new as possible.
Yep. And that's what you need to think about.
So Monica, you got me sold here on the process of we need to get an agent, right? Because an agent knows all this stuff and can help us through the process. So maybe after our break, you could help us through the process of selecting an agent, because as you said before, right, we want to have an interview process where we're interviewing real estate agents who have the education, who have experience, who are very localized to this market. So in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to help us through that process of selecting the right agent. But first, we're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors. This episode of Hello Tech Pros is sponsored by me, Chad Bostic. As an enterprise IT leader, I've gotten the opportunity to solve a number of different business problems, including field worker productivity, back office process efficiencies, enterprise system integrations, big data analysis, resource management, and IT complexity reduction. Each project comes with its own unique challenge, whether it be distributed teams, change management, stakeholder buy-in, availability of subject matter experts, or just getting one technology to play nice with others. Let me know what business problem is keeping you up at night and how you'd like me to help. Go to chadbostic.com and click the contact button, or text "Hello Chad," all one word, to 44222. That's chadbostic.com, chadbostic.com, and click the contact button, or text "Hello Chad," all one word, HELLOCHAD, to 44222. Okay, we're back with Monica Neubauer. Monica is a successful realtor in Franklin, Tennessee, and she's been telling us about, the pros and cons of technology and working with a realtor in the real estate industry. And there's some awesome data out there. There's so much information that you can educate yourself and do some of the legwork of maybe doing a little bit of research and finding out more about the area, finding more about the market and the house. But when it comes down to actually, okay, you want to go through the process, you need to have somebody there on your team. You need to build a team around your place, around yourself, who can maybe protect you a little bit from the emotional roller coaster that you're going to be going through, whether you're a buyer or a seller. They're going to be educated and informed with all the local zoning regulations, where the market is headed in this particular neighborhood or this particular region of the area. So Monica, help us through the process of selecting a real estate agent. What do we need to look for when we're interviewing real estate agents?
I would suggest the first thing you want to look for is rapport. Is this someone that you feel like you can trust them to educate you and you enjoy being with them? When you ask a question, you feel like they're giving you a thoughtful answer targeted for you and not just something generic. You want to feel like they're hearing what you're saying and giving you good answers for that. So that's just kind of the starting point. When they come in, do you feel comfortable with them, like they're hearing you and they're going to hear your needs and your concerns? So that's kind of the first place, is developing rapport. But some more specific things to look for as you're talking to them. In the real estate industry, sometimes we consciously work with friends or family, and sometimes we consciously don't. So different people have different opinions on if they want to work with family or friends. And I'm supportive working with family and friends, and if that's not comfortable for you, then don't do it. It needs to be, that's a personal decision for people. Some people like working with friends because they like the camaraderie of going through this situation together with someone that they already know and trust. And some people like to keep it, the personal on one side and want to work with somebody else. So that's kind of a decision you can make before you interview people. But I suggest you ask your friends for a referral. Did they love their agent? If you don't have one that you're using a repeat for, ask someone, who did you use? Did you love them? Most people did have a good experience when the National Association of Realtors interviews people, buyers and sellers. Most people had a good experience with their agent. So a lot of people will have someone they want to refer. And that would be my first suggestion if you're looking in a new area. But once you sit down and you interview one or two or three, however many you feel comfortable with, some of the things to look for is, have they been in the industry very long? And if so, what kind of education have they gotten? Have they kind of gotten the minimum of education? Is education kind of downplayed? The National Association of Realtors offers a lot of education opportunities for people to get advanced education. And even though most buyers don't understand what those designations mean, if you can look for an agent who has some designations or who's involved with their local association and getting, additional continuing education, those people will be better trained in their business. So even if you don't understand what the designation means, it usually means they care about their business to get more training, either in sustainability, working with mature adults. We have a senior real estate specialist course. We have one specially for working with buyers, class for working with sellers, for negotiating. There's a lot of real specialty training, and that has value if you meet an agent who has that.
Gotcha. So we're looking for people who have a bunch of acronyms or a bunch of abbreviations behind their name. So
right,
Monica
exactly.
Neubauer, PFQR, XYZ, ABC.
Yes, you may not know what those mean, but those do mean something of value to you as a buyer or seller. So ask your agent about them.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the education, do you have a question before I don't want to keep going?
No, keep going.
Okay. So when you meet with them, you find out if they have some training and how long they've been in the business. And if you want to use a new agent, someone who's just started in the business, that's great. They need your support. Find out if they have a mentor or, who's helping them to make sure that your contract paperwork's right and things like that. So I don't want to discourage you from working with new, but check on their kind of mentor system for your best service. Let's see. Some of the other things are, going back to technology, what forms of technology are they using? How well are they plugged into the resources where your listing is going to be made available? Are they going to be using professional photography? I'm a huge fan of professional photography because your listing, as we started the conversation, buyers, they're looking on Zillow and Redfin and the local real estate sites, and the first showings of a house are online and the photos need to be excellent. So always check to see, is your agent using professional photos, or if they're taking the photos themselves, have they had some training, or, if you see your agent using an iPhone, you should be worried. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they're taking them themselves, do they have a good camera? Are they attentive to the lighting and making sure they're getting your house in it, in a good light? So that's a factor. Another thing is, talk to them about communication. Agents need to have boundaries. So they need to have some business hours that they work in, but you still want to make sure that you can, are they connected well with email? Are they using some electronic signature software? Maybe that's going to be really convenient, in buying in this. Usually, most markets right now, we're in kind of a seller's market, mostly nationwide, not necessarily everywhere. But so in this fast-moving market, do they have electronic signature software that they're using? So kind of find out what some of their systems are. Do they have a list of vendors that can help you? Do they have a stager? Do they have people who can help you do repairs and things like that? So get to know them. Are they easily accessible? I mean, do they have another full-time job and they're just working your deal around this full-time job? Especially with a buyer, that can be a real challenge. Because it can, what kind of schedule can they work with and how are they working with you? So those would be I mean, there's a lot more. You can even Google what questions should I ask my realtor to get into some more in depth. But you want to find somebody who's in the industry all the time. They're paying attention to their market. They're paying attention to the politics of the area and how that's affecting real estate. And they're well educated and wanting to just do a good job in their business. And hopefully they're doing a decent amount of business. How much business people do can be um, can be a little bit vague to a buyer or seller. It's like, oh, so you did, 15 transactions last year. Well, an agent who does 15 transactions is probably a full-time agent. 15 transactions by themselves as a single agent is probably, that's a good amount of listings. Although there are listings and sales, although there are some agents who can do, 30, 40, 50 by themselves. Those people have amazing systems and are highly skilled in that. And then you get into teams. When people start saying, oh, I'm selling 100 sides a year or whatever transactions. Well, those people have a team. If they're doing that by themselves, you're not going to be able to get in touch with them, I don't think. So, if they have a team, you want to try and understand who's going to be the agent you're working with. You might be meeting with one person and then they're going to have somebody else help you most of the time. So if you're meeting with someone who has a team, you want to make sure you understand who you're going to be working with and do you feel comfortable with that person. And you want to make sure there's a clear communication outline at the beginning. Because some agents will, once you go to contract, the focus after contract is a lot of paperwork. And so a real estate agent's personality and the person doing the paperwork, those might be best suited by two different personality types. So if you're working with someone after the contract who's better with the administrative things, that might be actually to your benefit as a consumer. But you want to make sure you have clear communication. You're introduced to that person. You want to know who's involved in the transaction and working for you, and how can you get them on the phone, and can you always get the agent if you need them. Ask questions about who you're going to be working with when it comes to a team.
Great stuff, Monica. This is actually changing my mind about a preconception that I've had earlier. So my style going into buying or selling a house in the past has always been, okay, I want to find the real estate agent that's going to make the biggest bang for my buck. In other words, if I'm selling the property, I don't care what their personality is. I don't care what tools or technology that they use. I just want the person who is a shark and can go find those clients and can get me the most money. And the same thing is when I'm purchasing a house, I just want to find the house that I like and then get an agent that can help me with the negotiation process so that I can purchase the house for as little money as possible. And every time we've gone in and met agents, there have been times where I'm like, okay, they seem good enough. They seem like a shark. Let's do this. I'm always like, nope, we're out. We're gone. And I'm like, wait, whoa, hold on. What happened? Why when we were talking to this individual, did you completely freeze up? She's like, I don't like them. Well, yeah, but they can get us a lot of money. I don't like them. Yeah, but this could mean like an extra 10,000. I don't like them. Okay. What's going on? And from her perspective, it's like, I need someone I can trust. I need someone more than anything that I can communicate with, that I feel that they are listening to my needs, that they understand what I want. And it's not just about the money. It's about, like you said before, it's about the emotional process as well as all of your concerns and the communication method, because she knows that really at the end of the day, like, it's her house and I'm just a guest there, right? I live here, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
also in throughout the process, I'm going to be like, okay, here's the bottom line that I want to pay. And other than that, I don't want to know the details, right? And so her needs and my needs going into this finding a great real estate agent process are completely different. So now that I have heard your perspective on, from the agent side, like how to find a great agent and what things to look for, I'm going, oh my gosh, I need to go apologize to my wife, because we'll keep that between you and me.
Yeah, you've raised a great point there, is when you're looking for an agent, you have your concern. I want to get someone who I feel like can negotiate strong for me. So something you can look for, and you can ask that question. What kind of negotiation skills do you have? I want to feel like I can get a great price. Talk to me about this market and what kind of a price I can get. And so, you may not get the shark personality, but you can still find an agent who's skilled in negotiation. And if you feel like they've given you a good presentation, you can still feel confident with that part of their professional skills. And hopefully they're sociable enough and answer the questions that your wife has, because, marriage counseling, that's another part of what we do, sort of.
Side bonus.
And not really marriage counseling, but we as real estate agents, and I have to tell you, there are so many, I've been in this industry now 15 years, and there are so many amazing agents there who really want to help you get the best place at a good price and maybe a great price. And so it's worth taking some time to look for the one, find that agent with that they've got the professional skills, and they've got the ability to talk to both of you. They're going to hear, but you and your wife have to both, before you go in, it's best if you can both say, okay, well, negotiation skills are important to me. And she says, yeah, and communication skills and hearing my other B concerns about where I'm going to live, besides just, price and when we move in, that's important to me. So then both of you can bring your concerns and ask that agent the questions.
Wow. I think we're going to have a completely different experience the next time we go looking to buy a house, if I actually go back and listen to this episode again and say, okay, honey, let's write these down. Here are my concerns. I want great negotiation skills. And she says, yeah, I want great communication skills. Then maybe we'll have a more positive experience the next time around.
Yep. It's always good when you're meeting with a professional, whether it's a real estate agent, whether it's, you're preparing to go to a doctor and you will have some questions about your health, or when you're going to shop for a car. When you're going into these situations, if you can be more prepared to voice your expectations to that person, if you have a better idea of what your needs and your expectations are, then you can ask better questions. So, I still don't like shopping for cars, but at least when I go shop for a car, I've done some homework on the cars. I usually buy used cars, so I've done some research on the car they're offering. What's the safety rating? What's the blue book? Blah, 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 blah. And so at least when I go in, I have some knowledge of what we're talking about, and because I want to be an educated buyer. And that's what I want for the consumers is I want to see consumers ask real estate agents good questions and work with qualified agents so they can have a great experience. That's what I want for you and your wife.
Awesome. Sounds great. That's what we want too. And I know our audience is, some of them may be actually out shopping right now and going through this process and looking at it. And others, they're going to keep this in the back of their mind for the next time they go through the process and are looking for an agent or looking to DIY it with the technology at their fingertips, because they're all tech pros and a lot of folks want to DIY it. But now you at least have a little bit more education. You have some more knowledge. So, Monica, if you could wrap it up for us with any final words of wisdom that you have for our audience members, and then share the best ways that we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
All righty. Well, I've kind of given you some of my good nuggets here. So just to kind of sum it up is learn to ask good questions of the service providers you are hiring. You have a right to understand what they're doing for you, and you should ask good questions and feel comfortable with them. If that's not a good fit, there's somebody else who will be a good fit. So I encourage you to find those people who are the best fit for what you need in the situation, especially in real estate. There's some great folks out there who are just waiting to help you, and I know you can find them. So that's that, and the ways you can contact me. I have a couple of websites. My real estate website is FranklinTNblog.com, and you could find some more information about Franklin, Tennessee if you wanted to, because it's a popular place right now. And my other site is MonicaNeubauer.com, and my name is spelled Neubauer, and I'm on Twitter at Monica Neubauer too. So you can find me easily. Google me. There I am all over the internet.
Awesome. And you can find all of the links on the show notes page for this episode by visiting hellotechpros.com/152. Monica, thank you so much for being a guest here on Hello Tech Pros. I really value this conversation. It's really changed my perspective on the process, right? I've always been just like, show me the data, show me where it's at, and let's get this thing done. But now understanding that, it's probably in my best interest to have someone on my side who's going to work with my wife and I as a team through this process, very, very emotional process. And it is, regardless of if we're buying or selling, probably the biggest, monetary transaction that we're going to make. It's tough. It's a tough deal. And so we need somebody out there on our team. So I appreciate all the information that you shared with us today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you and share this with your listeners. Thank you. You
bet. Tech Pros, regardless of if you're buying a house, selling a house, or if you're doing something else, right? Gosh, the self-diagnosis on WebMD is horrible. Why is it horrible? Because you're not a doctor, right? You may have access to the data. You may have access to the information. That doesn't necessarily mean that in every situation, we are the right person to make big decisions and to go through the process alone. And People Friday, here, what it's all about on Hello Tech Pros on People Friday is we shouldn't do everything alone just because we're loners or just because we're technical or just because we like data. Put a team in place around you in these big, meaningful parts of your life whenever you could benefit from having a team around you, people who are professional, who are experienced, who are educated, and who can help you through the process. Just find somebody and get them involved. You've been listening to Monica Neubauer, and I'm Chad Bostic. And until next time, take care. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/152. Do you use Slack for team communication? Join the Hello Tech Pros Slack channel at hellotechpros.com/Slack. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, subscribe to this channel, and check back tomorrow. This has been People Friday, but tomorrow my featured guest and I discuss entrepreneurship. On Sunday, being unplugged. Monday, motivation. Tuesday, productivity. Wednesday, leadership. Thursday, technology. And then back again on Friday to talk people and communication. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.